Hey guys, what's up? It's Jen. Our purpose, our goal is to help you as a publicist to become a pitching powerhouse, create amazing connections with the media so you can leverage those to secure better results and bigger clients. Hello, guys. And then help you to launch, grow, and scale a profitable PR agency. Check out profitableprpros.com. That is our hub of free resources to paid comprehensive programs to help you become a pitching powerhouse and to launch, grow, and scale your own profitable PR agency. I'm also the founder of my own PR firm, Generation PR, based in Los Angeles. Today's discussion, I knew it would be a popular one. How are we building better relationships with journalists? We know as PR pros that having these connections are essential. How do you actually go about building these relationships? So today I'm going to share 4 big picture strategies and a lot of really helpful tips to help you build these genuine relationships with journalists. For my seasoned pros, consider this just a quick refresher and a friendly reminder to start doing this again. You can always build your relationships. And for my brand new, just starting out, I want to remind you that I started my own firm with no contacts whatsoever, nothing. I was an attorney and I just made the leap. And I realized as I was building my media connections that it comes down to being helpful, useful, offering relevant information to media contacts, to freelancers, editors, journalists, producers. It has to be the right fit at the right time. This is the premise and the foundation of the Pitch Lab, which is our monthly membership community. It's awesome, but that's the premise, is offering timely, relevant ideas, high quality things. So you can build relationships, but there's also some steps that I want you to take ahead of time. Okay, we're going to dive into 4 strategies. The first tip I have is start building relationships before you formally pitch or introduce yourself. Relationships really do take time, and you want to build something where you're giving and sharing and supporting and being useful before you ask for anything. So it's like imagine you're having a dinner party and there's like one extra spot and someone is just like, I want to come to your dinner party. And you're like, well, I don't even know you. And, it's like you gotta take a little time before you go in for the kill. Otherwise, it's just like, what can you do for me? I'm here and I'm taking from you. What is it that you're going to do for me? And you have to show the journalists ahead of time that you're interested, that you're dialed into what they're up to, that you are familiar with their work. It's like you're aware. They want to have an understanding that you get what they're about, what they write about, what they cover. You're like a cool person. It's a relationship, right? So you're building a connection based on like having something to talk about and having an affinity and having you be somebody that they would want to work with, essentially, right? So you're being normal and not stocky and don't be one of these like, was it something I said? If you don't get a reply, it's so gross. Don't be that. But you start out by engaging with the media. So you're on their radar well before you want to be featured or have your clients featured in their stories. So to do this, you can engage with their tweets if you have some value to add. So you reply to their tweets with, great piece or well-written article, through like, if you say something like, well-written article, I'd love to speak with you about, and then you kind of shamelessly plug your client here, that doesn't cut it, or a great piece doesn't cut it, right? You want to spend time reading their articles and get to know what they're like and what they like and what they don't like. You want to show that you are checked into their content. So spend time reading their articles, get to know what they like and what they don't like. You should favorite their content, retweet it, reply to their tweets. Twitter's so great. Journalists sometimes have a blog or a newsletter. Follow it, subscribe to it, comment on their stories. I'll reply to their newsletter. And that not only helps them recognize your name, but it shows you're interested in what they're writing and you're supportive and you're really checked in. So tip number two is try to make real connections rather than just self-promoting. Make a real connection. And I recommend inviting the journalist to coffee or a virtual Zoom coffee. That's working really well these days. It's really kind of fun to get their attention to send out a Starbucks gift card and invite media contacts to come and chat with you. You can send a virtual gift card. It doesn't even have to be a physical card in the mail, although you can do that. We've actually packed up kits of iced brewed coffee in cans, like really cute, in a little thing with a mug and then a Starbucks gift card on top of it, and said, like, let's have coffee. It's a little, it's like a $20 thing with shipping, and it just gets their attention. And, they'll give you 15 minutes. And sometimes it goes into a longer discussion because you're riffing, you're having a good time. If you make the commitment small for them, real connections matter. There's so much self-promotion, and it just doesn't work. It's gross, right? Like, imagine a conversation you have with someone in just a casual encounter, and all they do is talk about themselves, and all they do is ask you for stuff. You know those people, and you're like, they're users, and like, it feels gross. And that's what you come off as when you pitch a journalist cold turkey with a client, and you're just asking them to give you something without ever forming a relationship. That's why this is so important. So invite them to coffee, send them a gift card. It's really meaningful. It lets you build real meaningful connections, relationships, rather than just landing in someone's inbox and asking for something. And then during these types of meetings, you can ask questions like, what are you working on? How can I be of value to you? Right? And sometimes you may have someone in your network who isn't a client, but could be extremely useful. And you're forming this connection. You're being a facilitator. You're being someone who's like, oh my God, I want to make this introduction. You two are so aligned. Let me introduce you to them. Or I see you love travel, and you're talking about going to Peru and going to Machu Picchu. I have a friend that just did the Inca Trail. I'd love to connect you with them. That's not about put my client in a story, but that person's going to be more receptive to receiving a pitch from you. And just ask them, what are you working on? How can I help you? How can I support you? How can I be of value to you? And they'll tell you. They will tell you. Your goal in building relationships with your media contacts should always, always be to provide assistance, to be of value, be as helpful as possible. Okay, number 3, do your research. It's really frustrating for any journalist to receive pitches that have nothing to do with their job. If you pitch a journalist something that is irrelevant, that is spray and pray mass pitching, has nothing to do with them, or is so generic that it took no effort for you to research. I mean, you put in no effort to research what they're all about. It can land you on a blocked list. They're just going to put your email domain in like a do not receive because you're super annoying to them. It's time consuming for them to skim and be like, what is this mess? So before you send a pitch or reach out to a journalist, you start building these relationships, right? You're reaching out. You need to dig deep and research and learn more about these contacts you're trying and these connections you're trying to make. What are the types of stories they cover? What is their audience? And then ask yourself, would they care about this? If the answer is no, move on. Don't pitch them. Don't try to fit a square peg in a round hole. Number 4, that journalists are people too. There's a lot of imposter syndrome that comes along with pitching, where you feel like, oh my God, they're going to reject me. They're going to say no. I don't want to bug them. They're going to be annoyed by me. I'm annoying. They're this like almighty sitting on a throne and, making decisions. Out with you, off with their head. That's not how it is. And a lot of that comes from imposter syndrome, of feeling like you don't measure up right? So the moment I started to realize that there are people on the other ends of these pitches and they want their work to be appreciated and acknowledged, I got to say, very few journalists are in it for the money. It's not a huge money, generating unless you're really top of your game. It's not there's not a ton of I mean, listen, it's not like they're there because they are writers, they're passionate about writing, they're passionate about the topics they're writing about. And just let them know you appreciate their work, their people, right? So I know that lots of PR pros see journalists as like, this is the other part of it. Like, journalists are not there as public servants to feature your clients. Your pitches need to be truly newsworthy and they need to stand out among a sea of pitches that they're receiving every single day. So your goal is to make their job easier. They're a person doing a job, probably producing more content than ever. Make their job easy. Realize that there is something they're looking for sources. How is your source going to be helpful to them? And don't follow up too quickly or be obnoxious in your follow-up. So just like PR pros, journalists have lives outside of work. Let's hope they do, and they probably do. And when it comes to work itself, they have a lot going on. So they need time to digest your story ideas. Sometimes they will, if you put certain keywords in the subject, they know to search in the subject for a certain thing that they saved or they bookmarked or whatever. Sometimes they have to create a story concept and run it by editors for approval before they even start working on it. So they'll save your email and then come back to it if there's something relevant for the story they pitch that they're now writing. It takes time. So plan your follow-up. Don't be annoying. Be helpful. Sometimes a friendly nudge is appreciated, but don't be that guy or gal that's like, was it something I said? It's usually men that do that. They're trying to be funny. It's so annoying, but you guys would never do that anyway. So follow up appropriately. Be helpful, not annoying. Don't pitch on a Friday, follow up on a Monday, expecting a feature by Wednesday. This is not realistic. This is a huge part of why you need to be strategic about who you pitch and when. So it comes down to improving your pitching skills. We've talked about it a lot today. Timely, relevant content that's going to be useful and of value to these contacts. That's actually a great way to build better relationships with your media contacts.